3AW is football.
Off hands, Wells was electric. Left foot around the body. Front and centre, magnificent.
Great handball over the top to Wells. Tight angle, 40 metres out. Follows the boundary line along, goes for it and roars it home. North Melbourne in front. Bit of magic there from Wells.
He's kicked it straight to Daniel Wells.
14.
Wells, 30 metres out, directly in front, Seb kicks the goal. Daniel Wells, superb.
Daniel Wells, what a player he has been. He's been a star since the day he walked onto the ground for the Kangaroos, and he's now racked up 200 games, Dwayne. It's amazing just how quickly it has gone. It's against the Saints, and it's a pivotal game for the Kangaroos. Let's welcome Daniel to the program. Congratulations, mate. A very, very fine career.
Thanks a lot, guys. It's probably been a bit of a blur at the moment when I look back at it, but to reach 200 games, I'm very proud of. But no doubt once the career's over, you probably look back at it a bit more. But yeah.
Before we go back and just get some highlights of your 199 previous games, I want to take you to 15-minute mark of the last quarter of your 200th game. You are actually leading by 22 points coming up on the weekend with just 10 minutes to play. What are you thinking?
Well, obviously go back, kick the goal, and I think I went off after that, as players usually do.
I'm just going to clarify this, Daniel.
Jared's talking about this week. If you're in that situation this week, tell us what you're going to do.
Well, we trained a little bit about sort of pressure situations today, and I think the main thing is the boys, when you do get up that kind of lead, the other teams are going to be taking some real good chances to sort of get that lead back, and there's going to be a lot of risk in what they do. So, we need to have a defensive mindset, and unfortunately we didn't have that on the weekend with 2 goals up in 2 minutes to play, and it really cost us.
Now, Brad Scott, your coach, has described this week's training as confrontational. What does that mean?
I think the meeting was when he when he had a chat to us, the main review, that was pretty straight down the line, and so it should have been.
Yep.
And and that sort of reflected how we trained as well. He was out there, he was quite precise with what he wanted us to do and how he wanted us to train. And to the credit, all the boys trained extremely well, nice and intense, and it wasn't like we got smashed or anything. But I think the boys really took the onus on from heed the words from the coach, in the meeting, and went out and practiced it nice and hard. So, everything was pretty structured, and he knew what he wanted, and I think he sort of got a good taste of it, what we're capable of. But it's only training, we've got to take that into the game this weekend.
Daniel, you spent a little time in SA. I think you spent a tiny little bit of time at Port Lincoln at Mallee Park, the All-Indigenous club there. You went to WA. Were you always going to be a footballer? Was that something you always wanted to do as a kid?
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, with my dad and that, my uncles, and sort of just being around that environment, and especially down in Mallee Park there in Port Lincoln, and Dad's from Kalgoorlie, so there's always footy was around, and even in summertime we played a bit of cricket and basketball and stuff. But when footy came, that was a sport that all the boys wanted to play, and it was quite competitive because we've got a lot of cousins down there around the same age. So to look back at it now and to think where I am now, it's been a blessing.
I hear it was a fairly tough school under Graham Johncock's dad at Mallee Park. It was virtually one ball and 45, 50 kids sometimes, and if you weren't tough enough and you weren't good enough, you just didn't get it.
I remember, we used to get dropped off after school at it's called like a kids club where the kids used to sort of go before the parents picked them up.
Yep.
And I remember Sean Burger went, I beat him on the boundary line, he probably won't like it. I was only young, and he didn't like it, and he slung me over real hard, and he made me cry, and my brother came over to defend me and stuff. But that's how it was back then. Everyone was super competitive, and Johncock was there, the Burgoynes were there, and Byron Pickett, so there's a lot of good names. But I do remember when Shawnee, when I kicked the goal on him, he just slung me that hard, and it winded me, and I was only a young fella, and I soon learned, and that's the way it goes.
Daniel, there's been a suggestion that Andrew Demetrio pretty keen on taking an all-Indigenous side over to Ireland to play against the Irish. I read an article, I read a letter to the editor suggesting that Barry Cable wasn't overly in favour of it, one of the great Indigenous players. What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I don't mind it, to be honest. I think the whole thing is just people might get a bit mixed up. Is the Indigenous team, the All-Star team that plays every 2 years against an AFL side, and I think if we can get those players, normally we get a pretty good squad in there. Everyone's putting their hands up to play it, and they're real hungry to play, and they're disappointed when they can't play. And over the camps, they spoke about if we could sort of, increase it and maybe play against the Irish boys or even the Australian boys in that form of game. And it's come up that they proposed it to the boys at the camp, and it's come through. So it might happen this year. If it does, I'm all for it, to be honest.
And got to ask you your thoughts on Eddie's comments this week. How did you read it?
Yeah, initially it was quite surprising, sort of, the stature he's got in the game and how much of a presence he is, and just obviously what happened that week before and how he defended Adam, extremely well, and we're very proud of what he did. And to make a slip up like that, and that's all it was. You can see him on the news and stuff and on the radio how disappointed he is, and he's quite shattered by it. But everyone's standing by him, so they should, because he's done a lot of work, and you can't sort of just, after one mistake like that, just sort of wipe somebody. So, he's definitely, if he could take it back, he will, obviously, but I reckon he's standing pretty strong, and which is good.
Like your take on it, Daniel, and hopefully it's a good game for you on the weekend, and hopefully it's a tight one, because I'm looking forward to calling it myself. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, guys. Cheers. Thanks for having me.
3AW is football.